We're on.
Hi.
And action!
Move in. Move
Oh,
in.
all right,
Move
sorry.
in. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Spirit Talk Australia Radio. My name is Renata Daniel,
And I'm Anne Rekovich.
and we are here today with a very special guest. Her name is Fiona Brown. And I'm going to introduce you to this amazing lady and tell you all about her. So, Fiona works at Utopia Wellbeing, and she says she offers a no cookie cutter approach to helping you create a life that you love. She empowers you through coaching, NLP, matrix therapies. I want to find out about those. And conscious hypnotherapy, and helps you find healing and bliss with the healing modalities of Reiki and crystal healing. Oh, she does so many things. So Utopia Wellbeing offers in-person appointments in Port Stephens, which is in New South Wales, as well as online appointments, which is really, really good because that means she can go anywhere.
Don't need to worry about the dreaded C word, which we can't mention because
No,
otherwise
no.
YouTube takes us down.
No. Fiona works professionally and wholeheartedly. She has your back, holds your heart, and if needed,
I love
kicks
that.
your butt.
And don't we all need some of that occasionally?
We do.
So everyone, please welcome Fiona Brown.
Yay!
Hi there.
Hello, ladies. Hi, everyone.
Hi, and welcome to Spirit Talk Australia Radio. And thank you so much for coming today and being a guest on this radio broadcast. So thank you very much, Fiona.
Now,
Pleasure, ladies.
for those people who are joining us, this is one of our segments of one of our little side things that we do where we speak to people in the field who have all sorts of skills and views that can hopefully help us in everyday life. Some of them are spiritual, some of them are common sense, and some of them will just give you a big kick up the butt. So this is not the tarot. Tarot will be at 8:30 tonight on Anne and Renata. Frightfully good. But now we're going to learn all about Fiona and what she does.
I know, right? So Fiona, tell us a little bit about Utopia Wellbeing.
Well, Utopia Wellbeing is a business that I've been working on behind the scenes and part-time for many years. But it wasn't until 3 days before COVID hit that I took the leap and moved out of my 35-year nursing career and into this space full-time. So
Well timed, that was.
perfect timing. And it was a decision that took me many months to make because I really, really loved nursing, but I also really loved all this other work that I did. But I just felt this strong desire to sort of step into this space full-time because I get so much joy out of it. And so I finally made the decision, finished work, and then COVID hit. So plans didn't go exactly as I had hoped, but that's
No.
perfect.
But isn't it interesting how COVID, oh God, I've said it, it's pushed us out into areas that we were never expecting and have actually been wonderful. Have you had
Oh,
that
no.
experience?
I have, because had the big C not hit, I would have just ploughed straight into doing the doing. But what I needed to do was sit back and really take stock of where I was at, allow myself time to transition from that place of nursing into the rest of my work and work a little bit on the businessy stuff, which is not my expertise. I'd always been employed and I'm much more, creative than businessy. So doing the work was easy. Calling myself a businesswoman wasn't so easy. So to transition into this space in that downtime of the big C was perfect.
I like it, the big C.
Yeah, the big C. I guess it also gives you an enlightened view on what it is like to have to reinvent yourself at an age where most people are going, oh look, I just need to work another 10 years and it'll be fine. And so a lot of people are in that stage now where they do have to find something new for themselves or a different way of being. So how was that transition for you personally?
There was a lot of ups and downs, mostly me beating myself up about different things, which is where I got to practice what I preach and, work out what were my barriers and blocks and work on those, give myself the space, move into this space, but all the while bringing in resources of, people that could help me and learning different skills and things that I needed to do to be able to, do the business that I am now. Mm,
So,
yeah.
what did you find was the kind of the missing link, or the bit that was the most difficult for you when you started?
Letting go.
Let it go, let it go.
Letting go.
Is it hard? My God, we've been doing a lot of work ourselves on this,
Oh,
and
continually,
keeps rearing its ugly head, and then you realise,
Yeah.
oh, that's that trigger again.
Yeah. But it
Have you
was
found
letting
that?
go of sorry.
I'm just going to say, did you find that trigger is the new word of this sort of like last year or two?
Yeah, a lot more buttons have been pushed over the last year. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The key is identifying them and, calling yourself out on them and doing something about them, not just identifying it and then, putting it back in the closet, waiting to be pushed
Yeah.
again later. Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think that's where NLP comes in handy for breaking some of those things, does it? Can you explain to people what NLP is, please?
NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. So it's working with the language of your mind, because although we speak certain words, our brain is running all sorts of different programs and patterns based on, especially the first sort of 7 years of our life, those formative years when all of those patterns and programs were developed. So it's being able to call ourselves out on the language patterns we use and change those so we get a different outcome, and head in the direction we want rather than the direction that we're sort of allowing ourselves to be sucked into based on the baggage that we carry on our emotional backpacks and from the past.
And from my understanding, it's the whole tapping thing. Is that part of it?
It can be incorporated in NLP. That's tapping is something I certainly use as well. I love teaching children, especially to tap, because it's a bit fun for them. But teaching everyone to tap is an amazing tool because it's something that you can do anywhere, anytime, on any issue or problem that you have.
Hmm.
It's so simple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember Beth telling us about tapping, and she was having anxiety issues before she had to go and speak on stage, and she learnt the tapping to help her overcome that. And she said it's just amazing, and that's when I started looking into it as well. And one of the courses I was doing, they were using a lot of the tapping, and I'm still trying to embrace it. I still feel a bit weird. I have lain awake at night, not able to sleep, and I'll lay there going, okay, I can do this. And I try to break the patterns, and yeah, it seems to work.
Yeah, it does. And like everything, you need to actually use it for it to work. So often we're taught skills or different tools or strategies, and we say to ourselves, yeah, I know that, I must do that, but we actually don't do the doing. So it's not until we put things into practice that we can actually get the results or the benefit.
Mm. I think that's why coaching is something that is so useful for people, and having that sense that you must appear at a certain day at a certain time and work through this stuff. Because, like you said, Fiona, if you don't schedule it in, the likelihood is it just goes back into the closet and you don't worry about it until the need arises. And so, getting people into that sense of being coached through it, and come on, you've got to appear, you've got to deal with this now, and I'm here to help you do this, is a real boost and a real bonus, I think, for people who aren't good at committing to anything.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about your coaching, what you do, and what are the things that you coach people through.
So a lot of the people I coach are people who feel stuck in a rut. They're at a time that they need to make decisions at a crossroads. They might be people who are, getting into those sort of empty nester years and trying to reinvent themselves. Not, they're taking one hat off, but they're not sure, what's underneath that. And, so many
Mm.
women wear so many hats, and it's not until you start to take those off because the kids move out, you change jobs, your husband doesn't need you as much or leaves you, then who am I underneath that? So I help people find themselves. And I love when people, through the coaching process and by using tools like NLP and hypnotherapy, discover their innate goodness. Because I really, really believe that everyone at their core is a bloody amazing human being. And the reason why there are a lot of unhappy, shitty people in the world is because they can't see that within themselves. So I try and help them see that.
That can sometimes be a lot of baggage to unpack.
I like Alan's comment there. I'm just trying to read it over the camera. Nothing wrong with having some baggage. Just don't make it a sea truck worth. Actually, it's the shit that happens to us in our life that makes us who we are, and it's how we deal with it makes it either a positive experience or a negative experience, really.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's not what we go through, it's our perception of it and how we feel about it and what we do with that new learning or that experience.
Yeah.
Yes. So you were talking in there about hypnotherapy. So tell us about hypnotherapy and what that is good for.
I use hypnotherapy predominantly for helping people with stress and anxiety. I also, have people come and see me for smoking and weight loss. During the Big C, I actually offered twice a week for many, many weeks free online. I called them hypnotherapeutic meditation sessions. So I had a bunch of people hop online. It was quite fun because, a lot of people were in their jammies ready for bed. I did it sort of later in the evening, and we hopped on and I took them through a hypno meditation. And so I was just seeing people's ceilings because their phones were back and bed heads as they were all sort of chilled out in front of me while I was taking them through this, hypno meditation. And what I found at the end were people saying to me, I don't know what was exactly happening in that, but I feel so chilled and I feel calm. And people are saying, you seem so much more relaxed. So the more you do any of these modalities, the more it becomes part of who you are. And so you can change yourself at your core by, doing these things regularly. It's all about cleaning the sides of our lanterns, getting rid of some of the crap to help us, be the bright, shiny people that we can be. Yeah.
So some people can be really afraid of hypnotherapy because they see it as the stage sort of hypnotherapy where you're likely to walk out the door and someone says red and
that's right.
So can you explain what the difference between clinical hypnotherapy is and the stage hypnotherapy or hypnotism that they do?
Well, I actually don't do either, and I'm not the type of person that would do stage hypno because I don't need to sort of get people up and impress other people with modalities. And there is a place for that, absolutely. The hypnotherapy I use is all about helping people understand that when they're sitting in the space of their unconscious mind, they can tap into all these amazing resources that they have within them to help themselves become the person they want to be. What scares people is that they will feel out of control when they're in a state of hypnosis, but no one can take over someone's free will. So no one can be told to do something and then do it if it's going to be harmful or hurtful to themselves or someone else. So it's nothing to be scared of. And, in fact, every day, at least twice a day, we're all in that same brainwave state of hypnosis as we're falling asleep at night and as we're waking up in the morning. So we all do it unknowingly, unconsciously, every day.
I had an interesting experience as a child. Someone decided that I must be, what do they call it, hyperactive back in those days. Because I always pretended to be an animal and was running around pretending to be an animal. And so they took me off to a hypnotherapist and tried to hypnotize me. But nobody had told me that you just need to relax and it's okay. So all I could hear, I was in this dark room with a little bit of light and this man was trying to hypnotize me and I'm thinking, this must be a test. They're trying to see if I can stay awake. So I was actually feeling myself sway back and forth like this. And they're going, you're safe, it's okay, it's okay. I'm going, no, I'm not going to fall asleep. So I then got deemed, she can't be hypnotized. She has, it's not ADHD, but it's, you know what I mean, what I just call it. I've lost the word already.
Obsessive compulsive?
No! Hyperactive.
Yes.
Hyperactive, yeah. So, yeah, poor old me. Sorry, I just throw that little comment in. What's some success stories that you've had that you'd like, wow, I'm just so proud of this person and what they've done, what they've achieved?
Well, actually, in the last few months, I had a couple of people come to me for hypno. One woman who And, you know, I recommend 3 sessions for people with hypnotherapy because sometimes, you know, you sort of reveal layers that then need working in. So, you know, everything isn't so sort of cut and dried in one session done. But this woman couldn't afford 3 sessions. So she said, can I please have one? So I spent some time really working on the script to give her the most that I could. And one session, and she'd stopped her lifetime smoking habit. I think she started at about 15.
Wow.
She was in her late
Wow.
60s. So that was fun. And you know, I'm always like, I think to myself, all I do is talk to people, and this stuff happens, which is just beautiful. And then she referred a friend of hers, a fellow who again had been smoking for many years, and he was happy to do the 3 sessions. He said, I've got a lot of stuff to work on, and I've tried giving up smoking so many times, and I really don't think I can do it. 1 session, and he was done. And he rang me a couple of weeks later, and he said to me, can I ask a question? Am I supposed to be feeling this good? And I said, well, it can be a side effect of hypno. Yeah. And so then he came back for another session, and we worked on something else for that second session. He's still got a session to go. And when he's ready to come and see me for something else, we'll use it then. So, you know, when I book people in for coaching packages or hypno, it's not about sort of just making up time to, you know, fill in the sessions. We can go wherever you want to go and work on whatever you want to work on because it's all about you. It's not about me.
Wow, that's amazing. So I always say to people every time they try to quit smoking and they've failed, they're one step closer to that time that it sticks. Always. They're just almost there. So just keep at it. No, don't know about losing weight though. We won't talk about that.
That's very multifactorial.
Yes.
Do you find that when you're doing these sessions, that you have a certain amount of intuition, that you just have these things that pop into your head that help guide the session along?
I do, and sometimes I'll be mid-coaching session and say to someone, actually, I might just pop you on the table because I do healing work as well. And, you know, if that's what I'm called to do, and people are very open with me. They say, Fee, whatever you want to do, you just take me there. So, you know, and that's why I say I have a no cookie cutter approach. So I can sort of mix modalities quite a bit. And, you know, I go where I'm called to go with that. So, yeah, I have been doing Reiki for many years now, and I teach as well. I do crystal healing and a few other different modalities. So, yes, I am quite intuitive, and I have done readings back in the day. Yeah, so I trust my gut more than I trust my brain.
Oh, yeah, the brain. Isn't the brain a pain in the butt? Because it stops you achieving so much.
Too much chatter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell us about your crystal healing. What do you do there? What does that incorporate?
So I use crystals, and I often, when someone comes in for a Reiki session, I use crystals as well. So I use them on various parts of the body, depending on where the energy needs a little bit more amplifying, because crystals, you know, amplify that divine energy. So I have people holding the crystals, or I place them on their body or at their feet or the crown, wherever I, feel they're needed. And so the energy of the crystals sort of helps them tune into that sort of healing space. It's a really lovely modality to incorporate with other energy, healing like Reiki.
Our beautiful lady Tamara there has a question. Is there a certain type of person who cannot be hypnotized? Yes, me.
There are some. Yeah. And, there's tests that you can do to find out whether someone's suggestible or not. And when I was doing my training, interestingly enough, when we did that exercise, I came up as not being suggestible, which means that it would be less likely that I would be hypnotized. But I can. So, yeah. And I think sometimes it's really who is doing the hypnotizing, because if you feel safe and comfortable with someone, you'll just let go.
Interestingly enough, though, very early on, my very first client that I had, which was to be hypnotized, was a very, very good friend of mine. And she freaked out within 2 seconds. I was saying, now relax.
She's a control freak.
Try to take her down and all of that. And she just went, no, and literally ran out of the room.
Yeah.
And it was very much this whole, and I was just devastated. This is my friend, and I couldn't even hypnotize her. Where was I going to go with this after that? but she had a lot of trouble with letting go of anything. She had to always be in control. And like you said before, the whole idea of letting go and relaxing was an absolute impossibility for her.
Yeah.
It didn't make me feel comfortable at all.
So that's where you could use other modalities like tapping to help someone work through that, which then would
Yeah.
enable them to, go into hypnosis.
Yeah, I wasn't into tapping back then.
Yeah.
Tapping is it's not new, but I think it's one of those rediscovered modalities again.
Yeah, it is.
It's been there for a while, and now it's sort of come back into vogue because a lot of famous people use tapping. So it seems to
do
be
they?
something that is the flavour of the century.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
like using best? What do you like doing best?
Oh, I love NLP. I love matrix therapies, which is very
Oh
similar.
yes,
Yeah. So it's like timeline therapy, if you're familiar with that, except matrix therapies, which was began with a woman called Pip McKay, who adapted timeline therapy, but in a way that it makes it much more like feminine energy based. And with timeline therapy, you're going, up out of your body, back in time. So there's it's very sort of logical left brain stuff, whereas matrix therapies takes you back to the first event, which when learnings are gained will cause whatever problem you have to disappear. It's much more gentle and sort of like almost story based, and you can, with matrix therapies, clear limiting beliefs, negative emotions, all sorts of things. And I love it. And people really just go into that space very easily. And I say to people, when I'm doing any work with them that takes them into the space of their unconscious mind, I say to them, whatever comes to your mind in this process, if you see an image, hear some words, go back to a particular time, it can only come from you. You can't make this stuff up. So even though it feels like you're making it up, it's yours. You can't be pulling it out of someone else's unconscious mind. So, I'm all about helping people trust the process, trust themselves, because there is no right or wrong. There just is.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's real.
I'm
That's
just
right.
getting your things to scroll across the bottom there so people can find where you are. And you have very kindly offered a discount to our listeners at the moment that if they book any of your packages or services, they get 10% off. Just say Parastalker when you go to book so that Fiona knows where it is or who it is. And if you book the, what was it, the coaching NLP package or hypnotherapy package, you also get a copy of your book, Change Makers.
Yeah, so tell us about that.
Yeah, what's all that about? Ha ha!
So, interestingly enough, and this is where I love, working with people on goals and manifesting. For many years, I've wanted to write a book, but it feels really daunting to actually even think about that. But I was contacted by a woman during the Big C when I had plenty of time, which was great. And she asked me if I wanted to write a chapter in this book that she was putting together. And so, of course, I said yes. So there was 25 of us. It's 25 transformational stories from women making an impact in the lives of others. So, and I've certainly done plenty of that in my nursing days and with the work I do. So I wanted to share a bit of the story about what's behind why I do what I do. So I got to do that, and it became an Amazon #1 bestseller in USA,
Wow.
Canada, Australia, and the UK.
Oh,
Wow.
congratulations! That's amazing.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so
Go girls! Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yes. So that came out only 2 or 3 months ago.
Wow.
So so I went and did a book launch back in Mudgee where I lived for about 24 years,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was lots of fun. And I'm actually going there in a week or so to speak at their International Women's Day breakfast for their Mudgee Business Chamber.
Oh, nice.
Oh, very
Well,
nice.
that's
I
something.
hope you get nice scones, jam, and cream out there. I'm sure.
Oh yes. That's something I love to do as well as public speaking. I'm doing a program with the Speakers Institute at the moment, the Protégé program, to develop my public speaking further, because I love the opportunity to speak one to many. And one-to-many is not just about, me spreading the word to others, but it's about the fact that a lot of people are hearing the same sort of content, and then they can talk to one another and buddy up and, further whatever it is that they're learning.
Oops, I just realised I'd
That's
gone off
what
the
books are,
comments
one-to-many.
there. Yeah. Now, look, what could you say to someone to help them take a step in the right direction if they've got an idea of something that they might like to start, maybe a little business or an idea or something, but they're too scared to even take that first step? What could you give them as a little bit of advice to maybe kickstart them without giving away your whole package?
One of the first things I find helpful is getting it out on paper, because we walk around with so many ideas in our heads and, all this self-chatter, and we wake up in the night thinking of ideas and, the what ifs and the maybes and the buts and all of that. So, putting it out on paper is a really good way of trying to make sense of all of those thoughts in your head. So starting from there and then working out what it is that you need more help with, what's getting in your way, what's coming easily to you, what resources you might need. And so working through some of those things can help you get a little bit clearer on what's the first next step, because you won't get to the last step unless you take a first step.
And even just taking a little tiny step in the right direction can sometimes shake off that fear that you've built up around it. And I think sometimes there's real fears and there's what if fears. So I think sorting out those as well. What is it, a what if, or is this an actual fear? Like, is that spider going to jump on me, or is there a spider in this room? So we had a spider incident the other day. So if the what if is, is there a spider in the room? So there's not actually anything there. But our brain starts to get in the road again. I don't know what I'm saying. I'll just shut up.
We make up stuff in our heads.
I think too, some people believe that because there's kind of this story that, if you are on the right track, then everything flows easily. And sometimes that's not true. Sometimes it's hard work, and sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone or get out of your own way, and you may well be on the absolute perfect track, but it's still going to be difficult. And I think people balk when they kind of hit that first crossroads or that first thing that isn't going right, and they think to themselves, well, I must be doing something wrong because this is hard. And the thing is, it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would be successful and everyone would be doing it. And so it's sometimes also explaining to people the reality of it rather than wrapping it up in fluff and going, no, it's just the flow and everything will be fine, and, you'll just go with it, and, the universe will provide. And like you said, sometimes you just need a quick kick up the backside, because you can't sit there and wait for it to happen. You've got to jump in and do it.
Yes, I try and help people make the practical mystical and the mystical practical. To marry the two together.
Yeah.
Oh, Irina, host to a ghost. I like that.
Yeah, isn't that a great title?
Yeah.
So she was up there saying that she has so many menopause insomnia problems. Well, hello, sister.
Oh, you get used to that. You do craft at 2 o'clock in the morning. Just say it.
Now, what drew you to this path? What drew you out of nursing, where you've got a full-time job and there'd be plenty of work? What actually was the spark that made you go, oh, look at that shiny thing over there. I might go and look at that and do it.
So it happened a couple of years ago, no, actually many years ago, when I was turning 40, and I was working for a hospital in Dubbo in New South Wales, and I was covering 25% of the state in my role. So I was travelling all over the place, flying, doing clinics, etc. And it got too much. And, I was raising 2 young children with my husband at home. And so I actually started to get physically unwell, and my eyesight started to go. So my body was telling me to stop. So the day I turned 40, I drew a line physically in a patch of sand in our yard and said, once I am, I'm never going to be unhappily employed again once I step over this line. So on that day, I
Oh,
actually
goosebumps.
let go of my nursing. I told work that I was taking 5 months leave with the intention of just giving myself some space. And that's when I did a lot of letting go. I let go of the expectations I had of myself that I had to be doing that job because I was the only one in that quarter of the state doing it. And it wasn't a sexy area of nursing. I was a clinical nurse consultant, continence advisor. So it was a wheeze and poos job. But I loved it.
Someone's got to do it.
I just didn't go do it. And I loved the job.
Yeah.
So I drew that line in the sand, took some leave, got rid of all of those things, expectations and, guilt about leaving the job. And so I had the leave. And during that time, a friend said to me, you should meet a friend of mine. You'd really like her. She does Reiki. So I did. I rang this woman, had a cup of tea. I learned Reiki, and all of a sudden the path opened and all of these things were landing along, the path in front of me. Not long before that, I had lost both of my parents. My mum died at 61, and then my dad followed her about 3 years later at 66. And I had this real, there's something inside me that says, do your best, live this life, because I don't want to die with a whole pile of woulda, shoulda, coulda and regrets. And I've been a nurse for a long time, and I've seen plenty of people die and been with people as they've died, including my mum. And so while I am living, I want to do it really bloody well, and I want other people to do that too. So what drives me is using all these skills and tools and modalities I have, and just purely sitting and being with someone, having a cuppa and giving someone a hug is healing. I was really drawn to just doing this and doing it really well. When I let go of nursing, I actually thought to myself, well, what happened to that 35 years? So what was all that about? But it led me to this because it meant that I could sit with someone in a space of vulnerability. I wasn't freaked out by, flesh and bodies. I'd done a lot of education and research and workshops and sharing committees and things. So all of these things actually helped me be the person I needed to be able to move forward with the modalities that I have. So I thanked nursing. I did go on to do some more years part-time in a different subspecialty, but all the while I was doing this on the side. I also managed a youth leadership coaching program that was really successful in Mudgee and is still going, that drew in all aspects of the community, young adults, bigger adults, big kids, schools, businesses, council, all sorts of groups. And so I love that community capacity building. And I love working in the space of people's potential. That's essentially that space I like to double in, and getting people out of their comfort zones, because out in that world of discomfort is where the fun is. It's where the learning is. It's where the growth is. It's where all the good shit happens.
That's exactly what we were just talking about before we came on. There's a lot of bullying that goes on in our field, in the paranormal, and there was somebody had come online and said, I'm being bullied, and how horrible it is, and other people going, well, that's why we stay in our bubble, we stay away from everything. I thought, they're never going to reach their full potential unless they step out and say their mind and speak their mind and be true to themselves.
Yeah. You've got to be you.
Yeah.
That's it. I was raised. Yeah. I was raised, I went to, as a Catholic, primary school, high school, college, university, and worked in a Catholic hospital. And then I started doing Reiki, and people were like, how does
you're
that?
A witch.
Yeah, how does that sit with you? You've got crystals everywhere and you're smudging things. But, Catholicism was part of my spirituality. All of the energy healing modalities is, hugging people is, going for a walk in nature is, that's all the stuff that makes up my spirituality. That's my religion. Can't be anyone else's. Yep. We've all got our own. Yeah.
That's right. You got to do what makes you feel joy.
Yeah.
That's true.
But giving yourself permission to grow is one of the best things that you can do. And it's interesting. I've thought about this a lot over the last year or so, that whole idea of comfort zones. And you see diagrams of, this is your comfort zone, and then you go sort of out into discomfort and growth and things like that. But to me, a comfort zone is it's movable. It's part of you. It's like breath. So you breathe in and you go to a space of discomfort, and then you breathe out and you come back to yourself. So you test what discomfort is about. You give yourself a go, and then you come back and sit with it and get comfortable with it. And then again, you might be then braver to take a deeper breath in and go to that next step and get a little bit more uncomfortable, and then come back to yourself. So it's not something that you get out there and you're stuck out there and you can't go back into your little, safe place. It's life is a moving feast. I often think of a kaleidoscope, and I really need to find one. When you look into a kaleidoscope, one little bit of movement makes everything change, and things will go, the colours and the spaces will go exactly where they needed to, but you've just got to make that little tweak, that little change.
And it's always beautiful.
Yeah, always beautiful. Always. Yeah.
Do you find that spirituality is a component part for people who are really lost? Is it that they do you encourage people to look at that spiritual side of themselves and to learn to trust like their intuition or their instincts? Is it something that's missing for people that you feel are really, really lost, or that they lose faith? How do you look at all of that with the people that you see?
Yeah, by helping them develop that trust in themselves, absolutely. People will often say to me, they'll hop off the table after a session and say, "Oh, I felt this. Is that right?" Of course, of course it is. If you felt it, it's right. It's yours.
Yeah.
Own what you're feeling, own what you're thinking, and trust that. Don't try and fit yourself into anyone else's box. Yeah.
Look,
So, yeah,
we want to open up to questions. So anyone that is here with us, and we've got quite a few people here, which is awesome. If you want to ask Fiona a particular question, please jump on and ask now. She's right here and she'll be able to assist. We'd love some questions from the people that are watching right now.
And I like Christy's comment there, nothing grows in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's great.
And one of the things I love most about coaching is questions, because questions open up possibilities. You don't ask a question, you don't get an answer.
That's right. There aren't any stupid questions.
None at all.
That's what I say. Yeah. I actually had someone today ask me that. She said, "Oh, I'm sorry, this is a stupid question." I'm like, no such thing as a stupid question. The only stupid question is the one that's not asked.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So have you had any funny stories or anything, any unusual left of centre things happen?
So any what happened?
Left of centre, anything a bit unusual. There's one thing that I was thinking of as well while you're thinking of that. It's gone right out of my head.
I was just thinking there'd probably be some really interesting stories when you were doing your poo and wee work. But we won't go into that.
No, don't go there. Don't go there.
And if my H siblings were listening, they'd say, "Fee, enough. Don't bring it up, especially."
Do you find that there are some people that will use the spiritual as an excuse and go, "Oh, well, it's just meant to be. It must be the path that I'm on, and it's all meant to happen this way." Do you get that from people?
Yeah, I do. And I would ask, is that okay? Is that enough? Is it getting you where you really, really want to be? And if it's not, then what do you need to do differently to get yourself there? Yeah. You can. It's one thing to trust, but it's one thing to hand all your trust over to something else and not take ownership yourself. Yeah.
Oh, Patricia, that's a gorgeous question. That's a gorgeous question. She says, "Hi, Fiona. How many sessions would I need to get shit done, as I never get shit done?"
How much shit have you got, Patricia? And one thing that I often share with people is, let me tell you a story. So I had a woman come to me who had a drinking problem. Like, she wasn't an alcoholic as such, but she had a really heavy social drinking problem. All of her friends were big drinkers, her family were drinkers, a lot of drinkers, and she had tried many, many times to give up over the course of about 15 years. she booked in for 6 sessions with me, and she said at the end of it, she said, I felt like when I booked in, I was going to be a client for life. I thought it would take forever to help me sort through my shit. And, the drinking was just part of the problem. One session, it was done.
Wow.
The drinking was gone. So then we got to play for the next bunch of sessions on, helping her progress herself in her career, on, helping her get fitter and healthier. And so many things changed. So, she turned the kaleidoscope a little bit. All of these other things, fell into place. So even when you've got a whole lot of shit, doesn't mean it's going to take a whole lot of time or be really, really hard. Sometimes it's just one simple thing that makes a difference. But you've got to trust that it's possible. And it is. It is possible because I've seen it time and time again. Yeah. So in answer to that question, how many sessions? I offer a free 30-minute chat. So anyone can hop on my website, excuse me, and book a free 30-minute chat with me, and we can do it on the phone or on Zoom. I've had lots of people book in for that chat. End of 30 minutes. They don't need to come and see me because we've sorted that shit out.
Wow, that's awesome.
Because I don't want people to be dependent on me. I don't have all the answers. I'm just an avenue for the tools to come to them to help them. So I don't like codependency. I like to skill people up so they can get the learning, get the skills, move on, and then apply it when it comes back later, if it does in their life. Yeah.
Okay. Christy had a question there for you. Do you go into past life regression hypnosis?
Not intentionally, I don't. In matrix therapies, we go back sometimes to past lives or past generations to clear limiting beliefs or unhelpful emotions. Yeah, we do. I don't do past life regression specifically. But you know what? Sometimes, if I'm guided to go somewhere and I don't know what's coming out of my mouth, and we go to that place, we go to that place. I trust.
Yeah. Robert there, Fiona, do you have to be in physical contact for your Reiki healings?
No, is the short answer and the long answer. So no, we don't, because like a lot of healing modalities, energy goes to where it's needed, and it doesn't have to be energy created by touch. It can be just off the body, can be in the next room, can be on the other side of the planet. So,
all right, here we go. That's Christy again. Oh, good. What modality would be best for changing a belief?
I would work with NLP or matrix therapies to do that.
Awesome. And this is Patricia, who said, how many sessions does she need? Hoarding. Hoarding's a big one, hanging on to my kids' baby clothes, old shoes, etc., etc. Oh,
I've got some of my babies' clothing as well.
How old are your babies?
In their 20s and 30s. It's a bit of a memento type of thing. You want to have that as a memory that you're holding because it's so precious. But it's just one of those hoarding. Hoarding is about the fear of not having enough. So you hold on to everything because there is a fear of not knowing when the next thing is going to be there for you.
Yes.
And that can sometimes be a family of origin thing. I'm answering your question, so.
It is. A lot of that is about scarcity consciousness. Yeah.
I chose one or two special things to hold on to, which I then hope to pass on to my grandchildren. And I sort of got into my head that the rest of it someone else can use. So I'm going to put it out rather than mouldering away in a cupboard. If I move it on to the next person, then they get use out of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. What's Susan got there? Depression and anxiety, which I feel I can never conquer. Tried many things over the years, including therapy, courses, spirituality, including meditations, etc., talking to family, etc. Any advice?
Anxiety is a future-based problem, because you can't be anxious when you're in the present moment. So whatever modalities work for you to help you get into and stay in the present moment, Susan, are the best for you. And sometimes we do have to try different things to see what works. But don't stop. Don't think that trying one modality and it not working is a failure, because that's the step to the next modality that may be the one that helps you. And sometimes it might be needing to use 2 or 3 different modalities. You know, I know, you know, a lot of kids, you know, do the simplest of things. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So there's different ways and different times that you would do different things to help. You know, there's, you know, being anxious backstage when you're about to public speak is very different to being anxious standing waiting at the bus stop thinking that the bus isn't going to come, for example. Yeah.
There can also be issues with the fact that you are just so used to being anxious that you are anxious about not being anxious anymore. Does that make sense?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
if you've had anxiety for a long, long time, getting out of that zone and feeling that you can actually be competent and no longer anxious can make you anxious because it becomes like part of you. A lot of this sort of stuff is worked with when people have like things like eating disorders. I did a whole lot of eating disorder stuff really earlier on, and letting go of that little piece of you that says you must be anxious to be in control
becomes part of your identity.
becomes part of who you
Yeah.
are. And to let go of that control, which is anxiety. I've got to be fearing it, I've got to be thinking about it, I've got to be onto it all the time, because if I let it go for a moment and let the universe take over, bad things will happen. That's another Pandora's box, isn't it, Fiona? That's
Yes,
kind
yes.
of a lot of work to work out where that anxiety is coming from to begin with.
Yeah. But I encourage people not to own any illness. You know, in my nursing years, you know, people would say, oh, I'm a diabetic and I'm a this and I'm a that. You are not that. You are a person who's experiencing those things, but don't say you are that, because you are
Yes,
what you say you are.
Yeah, I used to have
absolutely.
people, like somebody said that to me about being overweight. I'd say, oh, I'm fat. And they said, no, you're a mother, you're an actor, you're a singer. You aren't fat. You carry extra weight, but you aren't fat. That's not who you are
Yes.
as a person.
True.
And
Yeah.
that once I'd got that in my head, I went, oh, wow. I have really had that identity that I am just a walking lump of blubber. And there's nothing more to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we've just asked for last questions. And for the people who are watching, the tarot time will be on at 8:30 on the Anne and Renata Frightfully Good page and on YouTube. So this is your chance to ask the questions. So Sandra, you haven't missed out on tarot time. Don't stress, neither of you, Peter. Susan is saying, thank you, ladies. Peter's saying, well said. So everyone, we're coming up to the end of the session here. So we've got Fiona's book here, which is Change Makers.
Want to just show that again, Fiona, so that people recognise the cover? Is there
Yes,
anywhere
yes.
else that they can purchase that?
Online through my website.
Okay.
Yes.
Which I have up here somewhere, the banner. I just got to find it. There it is. There's the website where you can buy it from, utopiawellbeing.com.au. Alrighty-o then. I think we've finished up our questions, so we can wrap it up.
Yeah, and Jenny Pierson, you might be a perfect candidate for Fiona. And yeah, give her a call. She offers 30 minutes,
30 minutes
for free. Yeah, and have a chat to her, because, you know, you might be just knocking on the right door this particular time.
And taking action also makes you feel better.
Yeah, it does.
When you finally face that and you go, that's it, I've had enough, I'm going to do something about it. Like me with my big splinter in my foot. You actually feel so much better when you actually go and do something.
Yeah.
We've got...
There's free workshops that I offer to people online or in their workplace if they want to arrange one with me. It's a Google initiative called I Am Remarkable, and it's a workshop designed for women and underrepresented groups to help them break their glass ceilings and self-imposed barriers about, you know, how good they are, and about sharing their goodness and their strengths and achievements with the world. And sometimes just even a simple free workshop like that, you know, women walked away.
Yeah.
They're pumped. They're like, I am
You can
remarkable.
see their shoulders lift, can't you?
Yeah.
Because they'll come in and they'll be hunched over like that, and they walk out with this new sense of being.
Yeah. So is that something, Fiona, that's pre-recorded, or do you actually jump online and do that workshop with
Live.
people?
Yes.
Live?
Yeah, we do. Zoom.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. It's a free workshop.
Yeah.
Guys, get onto that.
All right, now we really do have to wrap up.
Yes, yes. So thank you, Fiona. Thank you very, very much
thank you
for
so much.
coming along. It's
My
been
pleasure.
awesome.
Thank you, ladies,
And,
and everyone who was on and asking questions.
You got lots of people there saying thank you. You've made a difference for them already, and you're going to be getting some phone calls from people as well. So they're going to take you up on your offers. Don't forget, you've also got the 10% off any of the services, and if you book the hypnotherapy or coaching NLP package, you'll also get a copy of the book. So
just remember to mention Parastalker.
yeah, remember Parastalker, so she knows where you've come from. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back on at 8:30 with our tarot show on the Anne and Renata Frightfully Good and the YouTube page. But in the meantime, thank you, Fiona, for joining us.
Thank you, beautiful ladies. Thanks, everyone. See
Bye.
you.
And now, to say goodbye to all these wonderful people who have been on and watching.
Yes, thank you so very, very much for being here. Thank you for supporting these wonderful speakers that come in and offer their time and commit themselves to speaking on this platform, because for some people it's not an easy thing to do. So having people like all of you here supporting, listening and offering questions and just being here makes them feel as though they are reaching a new demographic, a new lot of people that they can reach out to.
You're just reaching, this is happening just specifically for some people on here who this can make a difference for. So a 30-minute free call, really, what harm can it do? It can only do you good.
Yeah, or a free workshop, my goodness.
Yeah,
absolutely. So join Fiona on her page. We will be back with another guest speaker soon, probably early next month. So stay tuned to Spirit Talk Australia Radio as well to see who we bring on next. And we thank you for being with us this evening.
And we'll see you soon on the other page for Tarot Time.
Bye.
Good night.